Imagine your life with unlimited cash flow. Today, you're going to discover 5 areas where you can be giving up control of your cash unknowingly and unnecessarily. You'll learn why 61% of businesses struggle with cash flow issues. You'll learn that it's not what you buy, it's how you pay for it that really matters. And finally, you'll learn about a 4-step process that will allow you to regain control of your cash flow. Because whoever controls your cash flow controls your life.
Here is your daily dose of the Ultimate Sales Machine coming to you from the new edition. Visit ultimatesalesmachine.com to get your copy or multiple copies. I am your host, Amanda Holmes, CEO of Chet Holmes International. What you're about to learn has assisted 250,000 businesses to generate billions of dollars, working faster, better, smarter.
We've been covering Chapter 8, how to double the attention and retention of your prospects when presenting. Effective presenting skills that can double, if not triple, your conversion rates. We are here in the dojo, therefore, let's do our little bow into the dojo, and we're just letting go of all of the other clutter and all of the junk and all of the things that are taking away our brain power to just focus wholeheartedly right here, right now, in the present in our dojo. And I would also request, because today what I want is we're going to have different people coming up and sharing 5-minute increments. And what I'd love to see is to get feedback from the room. So what are you experiencing from their presentation? Compliments are welcome. Constructive feedback is welcome. We just want to be kind and considerate to all our fellow dojo members. So keep that in mind as we go through. We're on week 18. Holy cow. This week's homework will be reading chapter 9, which we'll go back to the Dream 100, which is exciting. But in the interim, what did we cover last week? What did you read from chapter 8? The 8 rules for effective presenting. So the first rule for effective presenting, be confident, but not obnoxious. My father wrote this first step, and I can understand why, because sometimes people told him he was too confident. But the most confident one in the room usually wins, and he was very good at that. So he added, you can't be too boastful. I'm sure it's because he's been told that a million times over. Focus on them, not you. If you are perpetually worried about what you are doing, it probably means that you haven't gotten enough reps in to practice, because the whole purpose is to be beyond yourself, to focus on what's going on in the audience. How are they responding? If it's a one-on-one, if it's a one-on-three, watching their expressions, seeing how they're reacting, calling them out if they look bored, calling them out if they look excited. If they look inquisitive, ask them if they need a question, right? It's all about trying to get them engaged. It's about them. And the faster that you can, when presenting, focus on your audience rather than you, the more fun you'll have, really, because you'll realize it's not about you at all. It's actually about them in totality. A good tip for presenting. Number 3, KISS, keep it simple, stupid, right? So if you're going to give a presentation, here's what we're going to cover, here's what we're covering, and here's what we covered. Super simple. It's shocking how often we don't follow that easy framework. KIFP, keep it fast paced. How can we continue to show visuals to keep them engaged and entertained and interested, so that every 30 seconds is another visual on the screen? Using wow facts and statistics. Oh man, we could go very deep on this, and I'm curious to see if anybody's going to show any stats today. And if the whole point is to make your prospect or to make your audience say, wow, I didn't know that. That's the experience we want them to have. So that's how we continue to test our market data to see if it lands. Are they saying, wow, I didn't know that? Build in opportunities for stories. People retain 26% more when it's told in a story. How can you craft an entertaining, engaging story that they'll always remember? I can tell you a million times over, when I wrote the new edition of the Ultimate Sales Machine, all I wanted was to talk about how we 10x'd these leads and 5x these sales and all of these. But what mattered the most to my audience was actually a letter called Dear Dad, which was the foreword, which we read a while back. And that story of a relationship between child and parent resonated with more people than anything else. So stories land. 7, be curiosity driven. Here's what we're about to cover, and make sure you stay until the last 5 minutes, because what I'm going to teach you there will change the game, right? So continuing to foreshadow what's about to come, to keep them engaged, to keep them on the edge of their seats. You're hyping up things that are coming in the future. 8, each headline is valuable real estate. What are you putting in that headline so that it lands, so that it's engaging for them to want to see what's on the rest of the slide? It's almost like news headlines with every headline of your presentation if you use a deck. So those are our 8 rules for effective presenting. What I took from the whole hours last week's talk, I'm just giving you the 8 now so that we can jump into others sharing their presenting. So what I'd like to see is, I'm just going to put a timer on for 5 minutes. If you can keep it under 5 minutes, that would be great. And what I want everyone else to do is, let's all support the person that's sharing. And you can write it in the chat if you can give a compliment of something that really landed for you. And then if you have another point of, here's something where I think that you could improve, or something that I missed or I wanted to hear. And then from the chat, we can also call out for people. Oh, Stefan, you had a really good point there. Would you like to speak it out loud to Frank, right? You will retain far more when you absorb what's going on and give feedback to others. So it helps you as well as helping the speaker. So I'm going to call on all of you to be engaged and help give that feedback. So for everybody else, I know, but who's in your audience?
Business owners.
All right.
And so I'm doing a LinkedIn live event with a third-party referral source. And so this was what we had sort of put together. Should I do a screen share, or can I?
Yeah, you can. All right. Here we go.
I like it already. He doesn't even have to talk.
Notice how visuals make a difference. Go ahead.
Imagine your life with unlimited cash flow. Today, you're going to discover 5 areas where you can be giving up control of your cash unknowingly and unnecessarily. You'll learn why 61% of businesses struggle with cash flow issues. You'll learn that it's not what you buy, it's how you pay for it that really matters. And finally, you'll learn about a 4-step process that will allow you to regain control of your cash flow. Because whoever controls your cash flow controls your life. Nobody wants to worry about money, but the reality is, every move we make with our money is either moving us forward or holding us back. Many of the things we think should be moving us forward are actually preventing us from reaching our full financial potential. What if what you thought to be true turned out not to be true? When would you want to know? The average U.S. household owes more than $165,000 of debt, according to NerdWallet. Now more than ever, we need to be in control of our cash flow. The good news is, we're probably earning more income. The bad news, inflation is up 18.6% since 2020. And the average savings rate is only 3.2%, which is down 38% from a year ago. Money troubles are keeping us awake. 77% of Americans feel anxiety about finances, and 58% feel that their finances are out of control. In my 39 years of experience, I found that most of these money issues are actually self-inflicted. How we've been trained to use our money is preventing us from realizing our true financial potential. How we use our money is way more important than where our money is. The products the financial services industry sells are the things that they manufacture and the way they get paid. But how you use your money is really what's going to make the difference between financial freedom and just struggling to get by. We help our clients groove their financial golf swing. And then, just the contact information.
Woo!
That's all I got.
Can we give him a round of applause?
You, man, you.
Yeah, that was pretty damn good, dude.
All right. What feedback do we have for Tim?
That first slide was the hook right there. That was the bait that the fish will bite on.
Thank you.
Tim, you're missing something.
Tim, sign me up.
You're missing something, Tim. I want that QR code at the end where I could put my phone right up to it and go right to your landing page to sign up for something.
Like it. QR code. Thank you, Thomas.
Love you. I like a couple things. One is the experience you listed in there. It shows
Yep.
your, forgive me, I use the term ACE, authority, celebrity, expertise. I think that that's fantastic, even though it's not about you. Sorry, Amanda.
Right.
But also, again, I sense the problem, agitate, solution throughout many of your slides. And then also, I like the one, Tim, is it slide 3? I can't remember. Yeah, that, what I would call the inquisitive slide. Like, what if you thought, oh, what's he talking about? I got to know about this. I got to ask him. I got to reach out to him. So, like, what is that? What, maybe I'm not doing this right. So I like the inquisitive, like, tell me more about this. That's what I thought was pretty cool.
Thank you.
Hey, Frank, you just nailed it on slide 3. But Tim, another suggestion for slide 3. What if you
Yep.
put on slide 3 a picture of a confused human being? Human beings like to actually look at human beings. It captivates them just a little bit more.
Okay.
Well, to that point, Thomas, as you said, and as Amanda's dad said, I believe Chet said that something about the human body, people's eyes are attracted to that. So with that being said, not that this slide's not good, I would concur. Just that perplexed person with the question mark over their head, so
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah.
No, good point. Good point.
Can you go to your call to action slide, Tim?
Get rid of that phone and make that a big QR code.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was thinking,
I,
where I was thinking of putting it. Yeah.
I will say one thing, Thomas, forgive me. In our area, we do a lot of different advertising in many different forms. And the digital marketing team that I work with admittedly said that our Northeastern Pennsylvania might be a little behind the times with
Probably.
QR coding. So that could be a fact.
Yeah,
So
I'm not going to argue that.
Yeah. So,
well, but Frank, this is going to be a LinkedIn Live, and like the majority of the audience is probably going to be national.
There you go. Thomas's idea sticks.
Well,
Hey, Tim.
that, or you just put a phone number and a QR code. Give them a choice.
Yeah, well, I do have the phone number. I do have the email here, but having the big QR code just solves all those problems.
And your
Yes,
phone
that's
number
a
does
good
not
point.
stand out at all. It just blends right in. It's missing.
Yeah,
Oh, wait, where is it? Oh, now I see. I've had to look twice.
yeah.
Hey, Amanda, I'd love to, or Troy, I'd love to get your feedback on slide 3. Would that be better to be put on the front? I don't know. I'm toying with it because it's a damn good slide.
That is a great slide.
And I'm just wondering if that would capture inquisitiveness than slide 1. I don't know.
Craig, I like where you're going with this because it opens up the opportunity for a very brief story.
It's interesting, right? Because I said something like this at a MedTech meeting last Friday, and it was the opposite of what's being taught in the MBA schools, right? And people are failing in this area. And I'm wondering if this would catch the attention more, but put slide 1 where slide 3 is.
Yeah, I like that. I like that, Craig. I think that's a great point. I think this would be a good lead-off slide just to shake people in their boots, so to speak.
Can I offer you a gigantic compliment, Tim?
No, tell them absolutely not. You don't want to hear it.
Oh, Craig, you got to shut up because it's about you. So I was talking to Craig and I was helping him with his website. And he's like, what are your thoughts on my website? And Tim, I use yours as like an excellent example of the way a website should be.
Nice.
Thank you.
With the little red button.
With a button that stands out glaringly. Here's my call to action.
So, Tim, wow, you have come such a long way. This is masterful, right? Everyone can
Thank
see how
you.
masterful this is. Every word is just, it hits you. Every slide is so perfectly the logic of how much pain they're going through. It resonates. You understand that there is a serious problem. Even if you didn't understand that there was a problem, now you've realized that there's a problem, right? Obviously, that sizzle slide, that first slide of what you're going to cover, oh my gosh, what a brilliant step-by-step. So everyone should take note. How can I create a slide that will make people's mouths water before I present? Tim did a magnificent job of that. I also loved the stat about the 165,000 in debt. Great. It made me say, wow. That is what every piece of market data should do, is make you go, wow. I also, and for everybody, when he started talking about inflation, right? When he said it's up 18% since 2020, just that one piece of validation made him instantly, you felt, wow, he knows the market. He's an expert. As opposed to saying what everyone else says, which is inflation is so high right now, right? He was very specific about that global pain point that's happening. I love your tone of voice. Your authority is so clear. What I'd love to see from you is when you do this live, or if you have a live audience, I would ask more questions of the audience to see how they might engage. So after you've done the first slide of here's all the things that we covered, are you in the right place? Is this something you want to learn? Let me hear you say yes, right? Calling out to them to grab them, because everything you said was just brilliant. But now I want to keep hearing little questions of them. Did you know? Write it in the questions box. Did you know that we're about on average per household $165,000 in debt? Does that surprise you? Because it surprised me, right? So just inserting little pieces of conversation that evoke people to respond, even if they're not going to say yes in the questions box or there isn't a questions box, addressing the audience and evoking from them, oh, I didn't think about that. Oh, you're right, would be great to pull out from just reading it. But for everyone else also, did you notice how it's such a brilliant presentation and Tim is the man, right? If he were to hire a sales rep and give that same presentation and learn how to present, they would be leagues ahead of anyone else, right? And it doesn't take rocket science to learn to practice that script, right? It's hard to come up with a script. And normally we'd have to pull all of that out of Tim's brain because he's been doing it for decades. But that is such a great tool that you can duplicate and give to more people to present. I know at the moment you do it and you're doing it magnificently, but I just kept thinking, oh, this would be so good to give to more sales reps.
Well,
so
thank
that's
you.
when you have something great. Yeah. And that call to action, I wonder if you have any other guarantees or even a story in there of, we had somebody recently, a month ago, 2 weeks ago, that took us up on this offer. And in that half an hour, we found blank amount of money that they were wasting, right? What's a good story for them to quantify and understand in their heads what they could take away from that session?
I know, Amanda, you know this, the grocery store example that Troy
I was missing that.
Yeah. I think that would be a good one to throw in there.
Yep, that's a great one. That story or even your story, but that one's a good one. Okay. Yay. Everyone's doing so great. All right. We had third was Carlos. So Carlos, is there anything we need to know about who's in your audience?
Yeah, what we're doing is a reverse mortgage masterclass instead of webinar. And so those would be homeowners 55 and up that are pre-retirees or retirees. It could also be for financial advisors that have clients, family, or friends that would like to know. The masterclass title is How to Avoid the 5 Biggest Mistakes That Can Destroy Retirement Success.
Right. All right. Go ahead.
All right. Would you be able to sleep at night if you had to pay $8,000 to $10,000 each and every month? If you had not experience with long-term care being covered? 58% of retirees' biggest fear is outliving their assets. And according to the research published by the Employee Benefit Research Institute, the average person will need 1 to 3 years of long-term care and healthcare costs that are not subject to Medicare payments. So that average, according to the Research Institute study, is $410,000 to $600,000 for a married couple. Most people would sweat at the thought of being able to have to pay that. A recent client of ours, her husband actually had long-term care insurance, but most insurance plans expire after 3 years. His was 4 years, but his cost of care in a facility, he has dementia of the Alzheimer's type right now, it's $8,500 a month. How long would your family's retirement assets last if you had to pay $8,500 a month? We had another family. He's 70, he's still working, and he didn't think he would need a reverse mortgage. When we did a consultation, we looked at his gap, and it was not having long-term care insurance. He had a 15-year mortgage that he was 7 years in, had 8 years left. He said, Carlos, I can afford to make my payments. Why would I ever do a reverse mortgage? And we explained that there's a built-in line of credit feature that can be able to compound and grow like a savings account for long-term care insurance, and that he could continue to make payments with the reverse mortgage. He didn't know that was an option, that you could make optional payments. Unlike a traditional loan, a reverse mortgage, the payments lower the balance but go into that line of credit feature, which compounds and grows. We showed him how he could use the same money that he's paying right now, that he gets as a housing allowance from his company, and be able to pay off the loan 8 years from now, but now have over $500,000 in his line of credit for long-term care, such as, the numbers that he's missing. So his wife, 62, she's not working, he's 70. So if he is not able to continue to work or needs long-term care insurance, we found a way of being able to fund that. And like most people, according to a 2024 Allianz retirement study, 63% of Americans worry about inflation, Social Security, taxes, and whether they could afford to pay a long-term care insurance. And yet it's a small percentage of people that actually have long-term care insurance. We help people greatly increase the money they keep in retirement while reducing risk by up to 700%. And then, have a couple of different examples. But yeah, I like that idea about finishing with the QR code for a free consultation. That's kind of my initial frame for the class.
Great. Yay. Congratulations. Okay, what feedback do we have for Mr. Carlos?
Carlos, do you have this like in a 5 or 6 slide?
Not yet. No, I've been working on it, but yeah, that would be nice to put it similar to what Tim had.
Yeah, no, your content was legit, right? Like you had examples, you had the statistics, right? But people just listening to it, I just don't know if they'll be able to visualize it, right? And grab a hold of it, I guess, in their own psyche, be able to grab it and ingest it, if that makes sense. But your content was fantastic, literally spot on.
Thanks, Greg.
I like the title, the masterclass. It reminds me, Carlos, of we do an event that we've termed a health fair, and we feel like that title has run its course. So we spiced it up a little bit last time and called it an expo, a health expo, just a little different tweak to it. But I like the masterclass versus just a webinar or a seminar or a class. Like a master right off the bat, it's kind of like, well, this guy must know his shit. Master? Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
so,
that idea came from Amanda during one of the sessions. She said the same thing. The webinar is just getting old. People have been doing it for a while, but a master class might be a better way of being able to do it.
Yeah, I really like that. And then I like the fear factor is built in there in a couple spots, which makes people like, oh, I don't want that to be me. And then lastly, the only thing I didn't get is maybe the first line in the 8 to 10,000. It's kind of was like where you started, and maybe it was me not processing it quick enough, but it lost me a little. Can you repeat that real quick?
Yeah, I said, would you be able to sleep at night if you had to pay $8,000 to $10,000 a month out of pocket for long-term care? I've been playing with a couple different intros after, the first one, but yeah.
Got it. Okay.
No, that's really good. And Frank, by the way, the average cost here in NEPA is closer to $12,000 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, the national average is right around $100,000 per year per person. So it's $300,000 to $600,000 should be set aside. Or those are things that can destroy, the retirement portfolio for the advisors if they're having to liquidate assets under management every single month just to pay for their care.
Yeah, Carlos, I loved it. I loved the examples. I loved, some of the data as well. I love the question. I think maybe a little like some voice inflection would probably help a little bit. But other than that, I thought it was very good.
Thanks.
I would agree. And Carlos, for what it's worth, the one interesting thing is up here in northeastern Pennsylvania, we got some of those Alzheimer units and senior citizens places popping up like hotcakes, like McDonald's and Burger King. So we are, a large geriatric population. So if you're looking for a target market besides maybe Florida having a lot of population, this could be your avatar.
Yeah, every county in the United States has got an aging population, with the senior community being a larger and larger segment. In our area, in the county, we went from 1 in 5 homeowners in all of Ventura, Los Angeles, Santa Barbara County to 1 in 4 homeowners is 62 years of age or older. And
wow.
in our county, in Ventura County, it'll go to 1 in 3 within the next 5 years. So yeah, it doesn't matter where in the country, there's an aging population. I think the baby boomer statistic right now is there's 12,000 baby boomers a day, each and every day turning 62. It's 10,000 a day turning 65. Yeah, it's for the next 8-10 years, they're just coming into retirement age.
You know what I call that for both you and I, Carlos? Good for business.
Opportunity. Yeah, it's
Candace keeps
opportunity.
unmuting and muting. Candace, you want to share?
Yeah, so Carlos, I'm not sure if I'm thinking about this wrong, but something that would also resonate with me, and also I know my family even, is maybe a question stated, do you feel like you are prepared enough that your kids won't end up paying a bill once you are per se gone? Because I know that that's happened in families where they're not, and then the kids take over the bill and they're left with this big lump sum. And if they didn't have like life insurance or anything to cover that, that's sometimes a big bill, especially if they're not well off. So I'm not sure if that's something that also might help to add in there.
Yeah, I love the idea of using more questions. So thanks for that. A lot of this quick 5 minutes or the 3.5 minutes that I use is just a portion of the class. But yeah, most people don't know that the heirs and beneficiaries can't owe more than a house is worth. They think they're going to be on the hook for everything.
Okay.
Great. It's just some things that I thought about. So, and I kept thinking, Tim, of you, right? When he went into that story right off, didn't it just land? Weren't you just like, oh, interesting? You leaned in to hear what he had to say about his client. So I loved that. So when I think of this, I kind of wanted to hear a little bit more pain in the front. So the number one fear people have growing old is growing out of their money. You work your whole life, you slave labor until waiting for that day when you finally retire. And then 55% of them don't have enough money to actually handle the health problems that you'll have. Did you know that? Did you know that every other couple will have difficulty paying for their care long term? And imagine, and then I would put your line about, could you stomach knowing that you'd have to spend between $8,000 to $12,000 a month on your care? So I would build up even more of that pain leading into it. And I loved the first story, and then you lost me. The second story and the third story felt more like pitches than they did education. So it could have just been that if you had had a visual that I could look at, I would have been able to absorb what you were saying. But my mind just kind of tuned out and went, there's lots of numbers. I'm not quite sure. He's just trying to pitch me. So my mind kind of shut off there. But really strong entrance and great stories. So with that visual, it'll help. I kind of wanted to hear a little bit more education. So what are some of the other things that are problems for those that run out of money in retirement? I wanted to hear more target pains so that it felt like, oh, this person is an expert. They know about more than just this one particular subject that they're going to try and sell me, right? I was missing a little bit more of those target pains. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
But I'm excited and I look forward to hear more about the masterclass. I'm sure that is, again, rare in your industry, which is wonderful. All right, Thomas, 5 minutes. Are you ready? I know you didn't have anything at the beginning of this call. Do you now have something?
I have zero prepared, just for the record, but I'm going to present something anyway on the fly for the fun of it, because why the heck not? All right.
Exactly.
So no,
Who's
I don't
in
have
your
any kind of
audience?
like PowerPoint or anything like that. And I've just done a little bit of chat GPT on a subject, and we're just going to do this right now.
Who's in your audience?
Business owners, any business owner for that matter.
Okay, go ahead.
So did you know that 93% of companies express concern over employee retention? 93%. Now, I'm going to ask this question, and I'm going to poll the audience. How many of you, raise your hands, remember life before COVID? Okay, I'm so glad you're all involved, because I think we would all remember that. Well, here's something shocking. Even before COVID, companies experienced voluntary turnover rates of around 20%. And that rate's actually expected to increase by about 4% due to changing employee expectations. Furthermore, 59% of American workers experience moderate levels of burnout. So, I mean, when it comes to employees leaving, this is something that we're all facing. And let's talk about that for a moment. When we see a turnover, what does that actually mean for us? What does that mean for you? How many employees do you have? Take 20% of them as a number and then look at it and go, well, geez, if you're a small business, that means that you could be losing $600 for new onboarding per employee. And if you're a large business, that could be up to $3,000. How important is retention to you really? Well, did you know that there's actually a program out there that will actually help you retain employees and cost you literally nothing? That's net zero to you. It exists because it's part of the Affordable Care Act. And most people don't even remember this. How many of you remember, show of hands, during the chat with the Affordable Care Act when Congress and the president were all banging discussions out back and forth in the news about a wellness program? Does anyone remember that? I do, but so few people actually remember. Well, it's actually part of the law. And what that law says is that you could actually be part of a wellness program, which is like a bolt on to your insurance policy. So as long as you have an employee-sponsored healthcare plan, you can bolt this thing on. And the nice thing is it's paid for via a tax benefit. So therefore, the employee, through a pre-tax benefit, pays for the program. You get a lovely app. They can connect. You can talk to a doctor within 10 seconds. It's all kinds of fun things. And we're going to get to that here in a minute. But then the employer has a net zero cost. As a matter of fact, because it's a tax benefit and because it works that way, employers typically see between $300 and $500 savings per employee per year. And employees, believe it or not, even though they're paying for this out of a tax benefit, again, not out of their pocket, they see a benefit of around $100 to sometimes $140 per month. Everybody wins. So if this is something that you're highly interested in, if it's something that you really want to learn more about, and you want to especially learn about that cool app that even has a little facial feature where you can tell you what, you could look at it with your phone and the doctor can literally tell you what your blood pressure is, which is amazing, then click the QR code on the screen. Boom. What do you think? On the fly.
On the fly, pretty impressive.
That was
Okay,
that was awesome.
What'd you like about it, Willie?
The education part really got me, being a small business owner. So I'm like, well, okay, everybody has a problem with employees. How can I help retain them? How can I keep them healthy? So that's what I liked about it.
Right.
Then the energy that he brought with it as well.
I was just going to say
Yeah,
the energy was very good. And I felt like it kept you engaged. You know, you wanted to learn more because of the questions he asked, the show of hands, you know, you wanted to keep listening.
Like Candace, I think the asking the question and over Zoom with the show of hands, you could see the people in the gallery that are raising their hands.
Thomas could present the dictionary and make it interesting.
I'll start with the Encyclopedia Britannica. How about that?
That's dating you. Yeah.
No, it's fantastic, right? Everybody can see that Thomas is world class at presenting. What did he do? He got everyone engaged, right? He also kept saying, and what I'm about to show you, stay tuned for, right? And you could tell that he was actually there providing something valuable. And in less than 5 minutes, he did a great job of telling you about something you didn't know about. You didn't realize how big of a problem it was, and gave something beneficial, right? If we actually led with an education instead of just always pitching something, you build a lot more rapport, right? It was wonderfully done.
Now, here's the full disclosure, gang. I'm very familiar with the Ultimate Sales Machine. I saw Chet Holmes in person. I saw him live. I've gotten the coaching. I've been a part of this group for a very long time, and I'm very, very familiar with the product. And if you pay attention to the product and you really soak in what you're getting from this, yeah, you can just turn it on and you can go. Because like I said, literally, if you heard me typing, because I realized, and I apologize if you heard me typing, I didn't have mute. I literally just created this thing between the point that Amanda said, all right, who wants to do this? And that, and I came up with that and was able to present just like that.
Masterful, Thomas. It's great. I love it. With 3 minutes left, Craig, you don't get to go. Sorry.
Saved by the bell.
Well, he didn't
saved by Tommy again.
He didn't want to go anyways. I was just pushing him. So I want to hear from everybody. What was your biggest takeaway from today and seeing and giving the feedback of presenting? What did you learn?
Capture the attention with a slide or with a statement that sets you apart and stands out so that you capture the attention and then you validate it with data, right? And then you bring them to the conclusion of why your product or service is the right choice.
And I think it relates back to the proverbial everything I needed to know I learned in kindergarten, because we complicate life too often. we already know a lot of these things, and the problem agitate solution, or however you want to look at it, you can call it anything you want, but it just rings so true. You'll know a lot of these things. You just have to implement it and integrate that and encapsulate the educational based marketing component. And it really is not all that complicated.
But it's an art. It's not a science. It's an art.
Practice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Certainly not discrediting the experts here. That's for certainly sure. That's why we need it. But you're absolutely right, Tim. Yep.
Practice. The nice thing about what you have in front of you right now is called Zoom. And you could literally do your own Zoom and record yourself presenting to yourself. And you could see if you are boring yourself, you can improve yourself. If you're too flashy, you can see it and tone it down. I would highly recommend that.
My biggest takeaway was actually seeing how much Tim's presentation added so much to it, that visual. Because I'm a stickler for PowerPoint. I'm obsessive about PowerPoint, and people fight you. They don't want to do PowerPoint. Sales reps don't want to do PowerPoint. And yet, as soon as he pulled up that PowerPoint, we all went, wow. It's great. All right, everybody. Again, this week to next week, reading chapter 9. We're back to the Dream 100. And hey, any of you, if you can reach out to a Dream 100 so we have a good celebration to do next week around Dream 100. Do you have another appointment? Have you sent out another piece of material? With that, we bow out of our dojo. Such a pleasure. I loved seeing you all today. Great work.
Make sure to get your copy or copies at theultimatesalesmachine.com. There's a lot of special bonuses that you can't get going to Amazon, so make sure you check it out at ultimatesalesmachine.com.